let's start our interview.
Okay.
It is September 12th, 2022. I'm Diane Barrett with the BE Collection, and I'm here today with Ellen Debach-Riley. And I'd like to make sure that we have your verbal consent for the interview.
And that's fine, yes.
Okay, great. So thank you for being a part of this. And
Thank you for the invitation.
we focus primarily on your career, the choices you made in that direction. Maybe you've had more than one career, and how you got there, as well as your sexuality. How did it impact it? Did it? Those real pointed questions, so that a college student, for example, could pick up the archives at UCLA or Cal State Dominguez Hills and say, wow, maybe I can relate to that. So I'd like to ask you your occupation.
Well, currently I'm retired, but I worked for 30 years as an occupational therapist in home health.
Okay. Did you have a specific function there? Or
well,
make you sound like you're a machine. But
occupational therapy is a profession, a rehabilitation profession, bringing folks as close to normal following any kind of physical dysfunction, and in the areas of self-care, bathing, dressing, grooming, toileting, cooking, getting on a bus, whatever it is for you to resume your normal life activities. So as an occupational therapist going in home health, I went to people's homes. So that made me part of their family, part of their history, part of their culture.
Right.
And again, just trying to help them get back to as normal as possible. And it could be very intimate because I was teaching them how to get in and out of showers, on and off toilets. So being a lesbian was not really, well, for a long time I was in the closet. I didn't tell anybody in my work field
How long?
that I was a lesbian. Probably for the first, I'd say 5 to 7 years, maybe.
Of your career?
Of my career.
How about to yourself?
Oh, yeah. I mean, but my partner at the time did not want to be out. So it was kind of out of respect for her, and not really sure how the healthcare system, especially myself being in a position of working with intimate activities, how well that would.
So where were you born?
I was born in West Virginia, but only lived there for 3 years because my mom married a military man and came to California. He was not part of our life because he was in the military and because he was a womanizer and she kicked him out. But the best part of that was, I'm sorry?
You have siblings?
I have one sibling, an older sibling, who is very homophobic. But my mom raised us by herself.
So then you moved, and when did you decide you'd like to go into service for others?
Oh my goodness. Elementary school. I saw some sort of a career day on physical therapy, and I decided that's what I wanted to do. And then, schools were impacted. I ended up switching from physical therapy to occupational therapy and loved it. So
what drew you to the other?
To occupational therapy?
Right.
Mostly that there was availability with the education. And then once I learned what the career was, it fit me better anyway because I'm very pragmatic. And maybe it's being female, maybe being part of a minority. There's that need to help other people that are in need. So, I kind of think that it just came along with being the child of a single mom who, was looked at as a minority a lot in her life and was a strong woman. And so, gave me an opportunity to be a strong woman as well. But working in the field of helping others that are in a minority situation. Disabled people.
I admire that. That's not at all easy. I mean, as you said, you become part of their family. They're an important part.
And
I'm
and
sure they
that's
look forward to seeing you.
and that's where being in home health was really perfect, because talk about understanding what people really need to make their lives complete.
Mhm.
You know, it may not be that they want to be able to put on their own pants, but they may want to be able to feed their dogs, um, or be able to open windows,
Mhm.
or make a pot of coffee.
Right.
So everybody has what's important to them.
So in terms of somebody seeking a career such as that, do you respond to a doctor's order? How do you know what to do?
Well, there's
Do
a
you
whole
have
theory
guidance?
base of there's a whole theory base of understanding what a disorder has done to prevent someone from being independent,
Mhm.
and then trying to mitigate those barriers to either restore them to being able to do things the way they did before, or to find compensatory ways to still be independent.
Mhm.
So it's an interview process,
So
and
it's
it's
really a
partly
lot of
education.
your own assessment skills.
Hmm.
It's more than a direction from another person.
Correct,
Right.
correct. It's all about doing accurate assessments, and
So you really have to be an independent thinker.
I do believe so. It's a lot of problem
Yeah.
solving.
Well, I'm saying this because I'm trying to focus on, gee, if I didn't know anything about this, I thought maybe I'd like to do it.
Hmm.
Could this be something for me?
Well,
Because everybody likes to say, oh, yeah, I care about people. But
mhm.
this is more than caring.
This is giving them solutions.
That's right.
And they're not necessarily your solutions, they're the solutions that that person finds valuable and acceptable.
Uh-huh.
I'll never forget going into an Asian family who the the patient said, I am the father in this household and I will not do, I expect my children to do.
I think I've been in that house. Yeah. I think a lot of us have been in that house.
Right.
Uh,
So again, it's really patient driven, and that's what makes it so interesting. Everybody's different. Everybody's needs and priorities, as far as what's important for them to be independent in doing, is
right.
different.
How long would you spend with the patient?
Um, Probably about an hour a week. No, an hour twice a week would probably be on the average for probably 4 to 6 weeks, depending on what the disorder was. It's it was not uncommon to follow up with somebody that had a total hip replacement, for instance, and you're just trying to teach them how to do things without dislocating their hip until they're
Right.
healed. Um, that would be more short term, but if you work with somebody with neurological disorders,
Mhm.
strokes, head injuries, that would be a longer course of care.
What kind of education is required to fulfill that job requirement?
Occupational therapists have a bachelor's degree,
Mhm.
4-year degree, and to be in home health, probably at least 2 years experience, so that you're originally working in a clinic setting where you can learn from others before you
Uh-huh.
go out and work independently. It's a
And
really
what
nice field, because being independent, you do work from home and you do your paperwork on a laptop, and so your schedule is a little more flexible.
Mhm.
So
That's nice.
yeah,
But that's an asset. I mean, people look for that.
right, and that
Yeah.
worked really well for me because we were raising two children,
Mhm.
and it
When you
allowed me.
say we, who's we?
My soon-to-be wife, Michelle.
That's right. That's right. You have a wedding coming up.
We plan on getting married in October. We've been together for 32 years.
Uh,
We have a 28-year-old son and a 25-year-old child who is non-binary.
mhm.
So, yeah, during the years that they were in school, I was more likely than not the one that took them to school or picked them up, or
Well,
worked
just
with
being
them.
able to set your own hours, even though you had to be flexible for the patient, uh,
Right.
is helpful.
I could schedule my patients kind of around a teacher conference, or
Right. Exactly.
yeah, yeah. So that was the nice flexibility
Mhm.
with the job.
And do you see occupational therapists as in a good salary range?
Yes,
Mhm. Good.
as a matter of fact, I think now when going to school, there's a lot more specialty directions that you can take, which puts you even in a higher bracket than a
Uh,
general practitioner like I was. Hand therapy,
right.
neurology specifically, and
Mhm,
different niches.
mhm. What would your patient load be?
Um, 5 to 7 patients a day.
Oh, that's a lot. And you did parent teacher conferences and that? Good luck.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you start from home and your geography is maybe a 20-mile radius, it's not unusual to be, I mean, 5 would be the average, 7 would
Uh,
be the high end. And it's reasonable, it's
mhm.
reasonable to spend an hour with each patient.
Yeah, I
Unlike
would think so.
nursing, and you have a nursing background, is that right?
All right, that's why I'm,
And nurses would have smaller amounts of time to spend with patients than therapists did because we were
mhm,
doing more activities that
right.
required more time to complete.
And
So
your partner, is she always understanding of your occupation?
she enjoyed it. I mean, I worked for a
Good.
company that allowed me to take care of our life activities as well during the day, as long as I got my work done. Um, and it gave her, it was a company that allowed domestic partner benefits at the time.
That's great.
So she
Mhm,
was covered under my health care. That
mhm.
was very helpful, especially since she owns her own business, so she didn't have employer health care benefits.
Right, that's right. She had to do her own benefits.
Right.
So she had you.
Right.
Then she decided she might as well marry you after 32 years.
Well, at this point, she's getting ready to retire, so
She's going to lock those benefits in, right?
she's finally, yeah, deciding, well, maybe this will be long term, huh?
Huh? What was it like having children with both of you being lesbian?
Um, again, with my partner before Michelle being in the closet, with when Michelle and I got together, she was okay with being open, and that really was my preference. She
Right.
simply didn't she didn't come out to people just because. If it came up, she wasn't going to hide
I
by
am.
any means. But we changed our names to be hyphenated in
I
1990.
saw that. We
We
have a
did that.
hyphenated name too for our daughter and our family. It's Barrett Elfring.
And we did that for the
Right.
kids so that when we
Right.
enrolled the kids in school, our first was born in 94. We changed our name in 93 so that when they were enrolled, we would all have the same name.
Right.
There wouldn't be any question at all. And there's a number, and I was the biological mom for both of
Mhm.
our children.
Right. Mhm.
So many people would say how much they look like Michelle when she would pick them up at school.
We've
So,
had that too. And then we had the complaint that my name is too long to write.
yes, yes.
There's a good point in that. Yeah.
So,
It is what it is.
lesbian parents rarely came up. I know that it came up once when middle school, and again, we were out. We were known to staff and other kids if it was, brought up.
Mhm.
Um, and our oldest son got in a confrontation on a bus back when Michael Jackson stories were coming out. Oh, I bet your dad is Michael Jackson, kind of
Really?
teasing, and yeah,
Wow.
but it really wasn't anything negative. I have found out since, for instance, in parent groups, that I was not allowed to join the parent groups. I was not allowed to chaperone any of the field trips for the girls because I was a lesbian. So the discrimination really happened in undertones, not
Overtly, right.
overtly. Yeah.
That's right. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm
Their
wondering if
loss.
it still happens.
I'm sure it does. I hate to say that with such surety, but I've had that experience also.
Have you?
Mhm. Really, totally unnecessary.
But
And
at the
their
same
loss,
time,
but our loss too.
yeah, but at the same time, having parents that were out gave all of their friends the freedom to discuss the ideas of non-binary life, and um, same-sex relationships. And, maybe our kids are the only kids that they could talk to at the time, too. All of their friends would come to our house, and that's where the overnight stays happened.
Uh,
Um, and again, since we had two biologically born boys, it was mostly boys that stayed at the house.
uh,
So none of the parents with girls probably would let their girls stay at our house.
probably turn them into lesbians.
Right. In Placer County, where there's a very prevalent conservative population and there's a strong informed parents group in our neighboring city of Rockland that are, trying to take over school boards and not allowing um, approved curriculum that includes information about LGBT people in history. They're trying to stop that.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of students in this area really don't have the freedom to be themselves a lot of times at home, much less at school. So,
When were you personally first sure that you were a lesbian?
mm, when I finally accepted my roommate as a romantic partner,
Huh?
um, I was probably 19.
Mhm.
I was 19, but I moved in with this person who was a friend of my mom and my mom's girlfriend.
There you go.
Um,
That'd be a good idea for me.
yeah, and she was helping me out and gave me a place to live. And um, I don't know if you've heard stories where you tell somebody, "I can't be in love with you because I'm not a lesbian." Well, but maybe I am in love with you.
So
Maybe that
maybe I'm a
means
lesbian.
maybe that means I am a lesbian. Exactly.
Ah,
Um,
confusing.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, she and I were together for 13 years
Oh, that's a long time.
before Michelle and I got together.
Mhm.
So she still doesn't want our family to know that I'm a lesbian.
Who doesn't?
My mom
Oh, really?
still doesn't
Wow.
want to introduce Michelle as my wife. She wants to
Oh my
introduce
gosh.
her as my friend.
So she won't come to your wedding?
She is coming, but it's just her and her husband, and he knows, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no, my brother's not going to come. None of my nieces or nephews are, yeah, just my mom. She'll be
Oh,
there.
but she is coming.
Yeah,
So she's acknowledging it.
she is.
Mm-hmm.
And for years, Christmas cards still came to just Riley. They didn't come to Debach-Riley.
Uh,
Those kind of things
right.
where it's difficult to accept.
Mm-hmm. Well, congratulations to making a relationship that works for you and your family. Huh?
Well, and that's what I was hoping is the openness that Michelle and I have tried to provide to our children,
Uh-huh.
that their generation now has less stigma, less concern about discrimination and being out and not being allowed to be who they are.
Right.
I have a rainbow flag hanging in the front of my house.
Oh, you do? Now that's good. Your mother's going to see that. Right.
Yep. But I also live 3 blocks from a high school, so the students that walk back and forth
Yeah.
know
Mhm.
there's somebody in the world that
But
says,
that's good.
okay,
That's great.
yeah,
I really think that's good for you. It's positive because coming out is such an isolating experience. You might be enjoying what's happening to you and be freed by that, but where do you go with it? Who do you tell?
yeah.
So good
And
for you with that flag.
especially, how do you tell the people that are important to you?
That's right, like your mother.
Yeah, yeah,
Huh. Well, good for her. She's going to the wedding.
exactly.
Mhm. We'll never figure out our mothers. I figured that one out already.
I know. And I love my mom dearly, and I can't fault her for doing the best she could with what she
Mhm.
had at the time. I have trouble with the terminology
I
nowadays,
did
though.
too. I had trouble saying the word homosexual and lesbian.
Do you?
Homosexual was too long,
Oh, okay. Just
too
queer.
much. And lesbian was too me. So,
Right. And queer was not
I still don't
It
like.
was derogatory.
Mhm.
Queer was derogatory when I was younger,
Mhm.
and now it's being embraced by younger people.
That's true. I will not embrace that. I don't have anything against it. It's just something I won't.
Hmm.
I'll never say never, but it's just it has a negative for me, I think.
Hmm.
I don't know.
And that's because it was always used as a
That's
slur.
right, as a negative.
Hmm.
And it's unusual. I don't think of myself as unusual.
Mm-hmm. As a definition, but it's also difficult for myself as an older person to grammatically call someone they them,
I know, you're right. I agree with that.
and yet now that would describe one of my children.
Right, now that
So,
you're gonna have that group meeting at your house or whatever,
mhm,
they'll bring to your awareness. How you're
right,
supposed to use that term.
yeah, yeah.
It's always
Well,
something to learn.
our own child has, well, how do I not call you my son? Call me your child.
Well, that's good.
You
That's
know,
true.
so so they're educating us.
Uh-huh. And they're older too. So are they in relationships?
Not currently.
Hmm.
I think, well, they're just finishing college with a literature degree.
Hmm.
So, another form of expression,
Right.
creativity.
That's right. So you look like you're proud of them.
I am. I'm,
I
I'm very
It
proud of
shows.
both of them.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
You're not afraid to show it either, which is
Thank
good.
you. Yeah. Do
So
you have
what's your
children?
favorite fairy tale or Disney movie or
Oh my goodness. Well, I think about the kids. You know,
uh
one was born when 101 Dalmatians came back out,
right?
and the other one was born when The Lion King came out.
Oh, those are good.
So both of them have special significance.
Mhm.
Even though The Lion King had kind of homosexual slurs with the Scar character, but
But you can overlook that.
yeah, how do you feel about visiting Disney parks and all of that with the "Don't Say Gay"? Um, on the one hand, Disney donates to gay programs, but on the other hand, the Florida rules have kind of,
I hate all that. However,
yeah,
I'm very fond of Disney. We're big on Disneyland.
uh-huh.
So Marge's birthday is the same as Walt Disney's.
Is it?
That's right. So not the same year, but December 5th.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we've been to Disneyland on that day on occasion, sort of fun. They
Yeah.
don't celebrate it in a big way, but they covertly celebrate it. The
So,
employees.
do you feel that Disney is in fact an LGBT supportive organization?
I can't comment on it, honestly. I
Mm,
don't really think about it. I enjoy the fantasy part of Disneyland. I
yeah.
enjoy the color, the lights, the fireworks, all the original magic.
And that's why we're going to make
Keep
Disney
going.
World part of our honeymoon, actually. We're
So
going to
there
go to
you go.
Disney World for Epcot Center primarily,
Or
but
are
I'm
you?
going to wear everything rainbow that I own while I'm there.
No, I think that businesses are having difficulty saying who they are,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have to support that difficulty.
And that's why I see both sides of that with
Yeah,
Disney, and I'm not 100% sure I want to support them,
right.
but I can at least be out for anybody else that can't say gay while I'm in
Right.
Florida.
Well, it's a real problem. And I
Mhm.
feel sorry for the people that are taking that position. So limiting, you know,
Yeah.
their limitation. So that's where you're going for your honeymoon?
Well, that's part of it. We're going to start in Florida, do Epcot, and then go to New York to get on the Queen Mary 2 and do a transatlantic cruise to England. And
Wow.
then we're going to drive on the wrong side of the road for a week.
Yeah, that's really, it's confusing.
Yeah, so
Uh,
it'll be fun.
so that's great. That's a good honeymoon. Just
Yeah.
the two of you. You're not taking your children, right?
No, they have their own lives now,
That's right.
so
That's right.
maybe they'll babysit the chickens while we're gone.
That's a given.
Yeah.
Just goes with the territory, right?
Yeah. So it's, I mean, even though I retired in 2016, December of 2016, right after the election in November,
Yeah.
I've been volunteering with political activism
Mhm.
since. So I probably work as many hours as Michelle does.
Mhm.
So we both can really use the break. That's kind of what where I was going with that.
We started your Vote Your Voice because I interviewed a judge in San Francisco, and I said, "What do we do about all this?" She said, "Vote."
Mhm.
So right after that, the Supreme Court came out, and I thought, she's right. That's our power, because we
Mhm.
feel very powerless, but the vote is the only power we seem to really have. So,
Well, and you know, for if you're not involved when you're raising a family, I
mhm,
don't think most folks have the bandwidth to really pay attention to a lot of
that's right.
who's
Those
being
smaller
elected
things, right?
and
Mhm,
what their policies are. And now it's become so blatant
mhm.
that it's an opportunity to give people, you know, tools to do something about it.
So I'll after this, I'll sign you up to do that before your marriage. You can do your Vote Your Voice. They are small. They're not an interview like this. It's just you saying how you feel about Roe v. Wade.
Mm.
Take about 10 minutes or less, or a little bit more. And then it goes into your Vote Your Voice. It's a separate part of the collection.
I would love to do that because
Great.
that's my job now, you know,
I
is
know, I can hear
working
it.
with
I can see
voters.
it. I can feel it. No, it's really, we've gotten some very powerful interviews. And we lesbians have a lot to say. We women have a lot to say.
We as women, we
That's right.
as healthcare workers,
Mhm.
we as educators, you know, the folks who have seen the change over these years
Mhm.
understand what's at stake. You know, those of us that remember when abortion was not legal.
I had clients, that had gone through abortion. It doesn't disappear just because you make that decision,
Right.
right? So
Yep.
it's a big, very big decision. It's important, but it's life changing, and people don't make it haphazardly. So, in closing, if you knew your life was ending, um, how would you like to be remembered?
Hmm. I would like to be remembered as someone that put others first,
Mhm,
be it my children, be it my mom,
mhm.
um, be it the candidates that are running, be it the students that walk by my house, um, but that I was always a voice for others that needed a voice.
That's why we're saying your vote, your voice.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Very good. That's a good way to be remembered.
Did I mention um, that I did have one patient that asked for a different therapist just because she found out I was a lesbian?
No, you didn't mention that.
Yeah. So, I mean, even though it didn't happen often, this is the only example that I can remember, but because she was a young woman and she found out that I was a lesbian, she, you know, called the office and said, I want someone different. I don't trust this person to be in my home. So, regardless of your professional capabilities,
Said a
um,
lot about her, didn't it?
yeah. But
Still
again,
does, so yeah,
even in our lifetimes and our,
that's right.
people have been discriminated against because of who they are, not what they can do.
So how did you find out about that? Did your boss tell you
My
or?
boss told me not to go
Oh,
back. Mhm.
I hate to be the boss telling you that. Right. They're
Well, I
protecting
don't
you.
know. I had a boss that really was
Looked
probably
after you.
like mine with that
Right.
person. So
Yeah, but that stuff is still there.
exactly, and it's sad to think that they can't fire you anymore for that. There are laws that protect us, but that stigma is still out there,
Right. But we're still out there.
and we're still out there, and
That's
it's
right.
not very often that that
I'm
happens
pretty
anymore.
convinced we're going to stay that way. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you, Diane.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.